fractions, everybody's favorite. I'm going to start with number 3. Let's talk about multiplying. We'll do 3, 7, we'll kind of go in our own order. Multiplying is the easiest because you do not need a common denominator in order to multiply fractions together. So in number 3, when you're simplifying here, all you have to do is multiply straight across the numerator and straight across the denominator. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 9 times 5 is 45. Now here we want to write this in simplest fraction form. And negative 6 over 45, those both have 3's that go into them. So that would give me negative 2 over 15. That would be the most simplified answer. Okay, so multiplying there is easy. When I skip down to number 7 and multiply, negative 6 7 times negative 14 over 21. Remember, you don't get a calculator here. So you could go through and multiply 6 and 14, 7 and 21, but those are going to be some big numbers for you. The trick that I would use here, and you can do this however you want. If you want to multiply those big numbers, go ahead. Is I would simplify the fractions as they are here. Remember when you're multiplying, you can kind of cancel things out. So if I have 6 and 21, I should know, or 14 over 21 will simplify, right? That's 7 goes into both, that's 2 over 3. So you have negative 6 over 7 times negative 2 over 3, that is a little bit nicer for you. Because negative 6 times negative 2 is 12 over 21, and 12 over 21, 3 goes into both of those, would be 4 over 7. And that's it. So look to see if you can simplify a fraction before you start. Also, negative times a negative is a positive. Don't forget that there. All right, we did multiplication. Now let's go to division, actually, and we'll finish with addition and subtraction in a few minutes. So the division problems we have here are actually number 8, number 6, and number 5. And we'll go back to addition and subtraction. The reason I'm doing these first is because when I divide fractions, I'm actually using multiplication. When I divide fractions, I am going to flip or find the reciprocal of the second fraction and then multiply them together. So here in number 5, the negative 2/3 stays the same. Instead of dividing by 6 over 11, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 11 over 6. Now I just have to multiply straight across like I did in the other problems, which will give me negative 22 over 18. And those are both even, so I'm going to divide 2 out of both of those and get negative 11 over 9. And that would be it. Number 6 here is similar, but it's a fraction within a fraction. So if you need to rewrite that as negative 9 over 2 divided by 5 over 12, that's fine if that's easier for you to see. But this is the same thing. I'm going to take the first fraction and keep it the same and multiply by the reciprocal of the second, 12 over 5. Now, 9 and 12, that could be kind of a big number, and then we have a 10. If you want, what you can do is simplify the 2 and the 12 here. Because I can do that only because it's multiplication. Don't try that in addition or subtraction. Only because it's multiplication. Those would end up simplifying to be, when I pull a 2 out, 6 and a 1. And those smaller numbers just help me with the multiplication because I'm not allowed to use a calculator. So negative 9 times 6 is negative 54. 1 times 5 is 5. And there you go. You're simplifying. Finally, number 8, same thing, only we have x's. This is x over 5 divided by 3 over x squared. Now, when I divide, these are rational fractions. We're actually going to, our next unit's going to be working with these kind of fractions that have variables. We take the original, the first fraction, x over 5, and multiply by the reciprocal of the second. X times x squared, use your exponent rules from another video, then you get x to the third over 15. And that would be your final answer. All right, we did multiplication, we did division. Let's go back and do addition and subtraction. 1, 2, and 4. These all are different because you must have a common denominator in order to add or subtract fractions together. When I look at number 1, separate these here. When I look at number 1, at 2/3 minus 8/5, they don't have a common denominator, so I need to create one. Usually, what you would do that's easiest here is 3 and 5, as you find the smallest number that 3 and 5 both go into. They both go into 15. So in order to change the denominator of 3 into a 15, I need to multiply it by 5. But to do that, I need to multiply by a fancy 1, which is 5 over 5. Right? So when I multiply those two little fractions together, I get 10 over 15. That is equivalent to 2/3, right? If I simplified it. Well, I'm going to subtract now. I need to change the 5 on the right fraction to a 15. So I multiply by 3 over 3. When I multiply by the fancy 1, I'm not changing the value, I'm just changing the appearance of the fraction. So that would be minus 24 over 15. Well, now I have the same denominator, so I can go ahead and subtract the numerators. 10 minus 24 is negative 14 over the denominator of 15. And those do not simplify anymore, so that will be your final answer. All right, number 2, same thing, I need a common denominator. Well, the common denominator between 4 and 2 is actually going to be 4. 2 goes into 4, so I only need to change the right fraction here by multiplying by 2 over 2. So I have 7 over 4 plus 6 over 4, that's equivalent to 3 over 2. And I'm going to add those up. 7 plus 6 is 13, and I have my denominator of 4. Doesn't simplify, so that's it. All right, number 4, I need a common denominator in this one. 3 and 7, the smallest number they both go into is 21. So I'm going to multiply the first fraction by 7 over 7, and the second one by 3 over 3. When I multiply the first fraction, I end up with negative 14 over 21. That is negative 2/3 if you were to simplify it. Now I'm going to subtract here 3 over 21, which is 1/7. All right, well, negative 14 minus 3 is negative 17 over 21, which does not simplify, and that would be your final answer. All right, these are really easy problems to make up, so if you need some extra fraction practice, ask your teacher for some help.